Because there's no such thing as an assault weapon. The weapon can't assault.
Right now, on News 8 at 6, debates on gun control continue to divide the public. Some Iowa residents addressing their concerns to Senator Chuck Grassley today.
You can see he's the friendliest dog in the world.
And how one lovable lab is recovering after being attacked by 3 dogs last month.
Live from WQAD, this is News 8 at 6.
Good evening, I'm Jim Mertens. Thanks for joining us. Denise has the night off. Talk about gun control is front and center at a Wapello community meeting. Iowa U.S. Senator Charles Grassley spoke today after recent tragic shootings. News 8's John David shows why it continues to divide the public opinion.
The debate over gun control, pro and con, dominates discussion at this town hall meeting in Wapello, Iowa.
And there's an addition you can put on a rifle to make it a submachine gun. It seems to me common sense that it shouldn't be there.
Nearly 100 guests verbally spar with Senator Chuck Grassley.
You have an A rating with the NRA. You have received money from the NRA.
Raw emotions from supporters and opponents following recent shootings.
Because there's no such thing as an assault weapon. The weapon can't assault.
Here in Wapello, the meeting symbolizes deep divisions over gun control, and the search for solutions seems almost as split.
When it hits kids as opposed to adults, it's a little different story, and you can understand why people are legitimately emotional about it.
Some aim for the status quo. Others push for restrictions.
To end gun-free zones across the board?
If we're going to have guns in the Burlington School District, the Burlington School Board ought to make that decision, not us in Washington.
It's part of the senator's 99-county tour, a scene playing out statewide.
The wounds that occurred would destroy complete organs.
Strong feelings are part of the national debate, debating guns and safety for children.
I want her safe when she walks into school. I'll volunteer every day to go sit on the steps of that school and protect that child.
In Wapello, John David, WQAD News 8.
Senator Grassley also talked with business leaders in Burlington and students at Muscatine High School. He wrapped up the day with a stop in Manchester. And Illinois Congresswoman Sherry Bustos made a stop in Moline today to talk to local educators about school safety. Originally, this roundtable discussion was supposed to address a teacher shortage in Illinois, but the conversation turned to keeping kids safer in schools. It comes after the shooting in Parkland, Florida last week. Now, President Donald Trump suggesting teachers be armed with guns to prevent school shootings. Congresswoman Bustos says the suggestion is irrational.
We need to make sure Democrats and Republicans, we're not throwing grenades at each side, but rather we sit down and talk in a rational, reasonable way about what we should do about this problem in America. And I don't think that we ought to jump to a place and say our teachers ought to be armed.
When someone tries to buy a gun, Bustos says we need to look closer at criminal background checks and the no-fly list. Iowa educators are also showing a stiff opposition to the president's proposal, saying more guns does not equal more safety.
Bringing more guns into schools are going to result in more shootings. I don't believe teachers are wired to draw down on a student.
If we want to do something and introduce more things into our schools, we need more counselors. We need more school psychologists. We need helps and supports with our students on a daily basis.
The president's position would be to arm only certain teachers who have a background in the military or have completed firearm training. We had a brief break in the clouds to see some sunshine, but we could be in for a wintry mix for the weekend. Storm Track 8 Chief Meteorologist James Zahara joins us from the Weather Center. James?
That's right, Jim. A wintry mix for some. Otherwise, we're going to be stressing a lot of rain back in the forecast. Nothing heavy or anything like that, but it does look kind of soggy as we start up the first day of the weekend. And it will be coming from that area of low pressure. It'll be tracking his way off to the north and east. A little concern before the first round of precipitation comes in. It does have a chance to make it a bit icy in areas more more south of the Quad Cities, especially come early tomorrow morning. Winter weather advisory is out all the way to noon on Saturday, and we're looking at areas around 218, 61, Highway 34 from Mount Pleasant eastward to Galesburg, and let's not forget 67 as well through Monmouth going into Roseville. So that is for tomorrow morning for areas south of the Quad Cities. Currently, we're seeing those temperatures in the 30s. Right now, the Quad Cities mostly cloudy, 36 degrees after a daytime high of around 42. Rainfall amounts, yes, they'll be with us, and I'll tell you how much we could potentially see coming up in just a few minutes. Jim?
8 dogs are now in the care of the Clinton Humane Society after they were rescued earlier this week. We do want to warn you, some of these images are graphic. Police say on Wednesday they were called to a home off 4th Avenue North to remove a pit bull from a home. When police arrived, they found 8 dogs that were covered in feces and blood and 1 dog that did not survive. The home had no heat, power, nor water. Pictures shared on Facebook prompted help from the community.
I couldn't believe what I saw. I was mortified and knew that I had to do whatever I could to help.
Our main goal, our main priority right now is their immediate acute care, getting them help from the vet, getting their wounds stitched, getting them on medicine for any kind of pain that they are in. We will hold them absolutely as long as we need to.
Clinton police say there are charges pending in the case. Rock Island police continue to search for the owners of 3 dogs who went on the attack last month. The owner of the dog, who was severely hurt, says the dogs are dangerous and tells News 8's Chris Miner they should be found before it happens again.
Give me 5. Oh, the big boy.
He's a lover.
Max is a 4-year-old rescue dog, and as you can see, he is a lover, not a fighter.
But you can see he's the friendliest dog in the world.
Come on.
But last month, while on a walk with his owner's roommate at Hawberg Park, 3 loose dogs suddenly tore into Max.
He got attacked savagely by a pit bull, a Great Dane, and a Mastiff. Biting, fighting, they tore him apart.
Owner Michael Mato took these pictures. Max needed 65 staples and another 10 stitches to close his wounds. Infections set in, and all told, 4 different procedures by the vet were needed to fix him.
Sit.
Had the roommate not intervened, Max could have been killed.
I hovered over Max and locked my arm down on him, and then I was able to swing my body over him.
The couple who owned the dogs, though, fled.
They took their dogs and left, like cowards.
Information posted on Facebook has produced some potential tips about the dog's owners.
It was friends of mine that found the people and notified me.
But police and animal control tonight say they're still investigating. And 1 month since the attack, Mato is concerned.
What if it would have been somebody's kid? And there are a lot of children in this neighborhood.
He wants action taken now.
I mean, there were 2 rows of staples.
To prevent another attack in the future.
Now, I don't want to see the dogs killed. I'm a big dog lover. But they have to be responsible for the way they raise their pets.
In Rock Island, Chris Miner, WQAD News 8.
Police say none of the dogs in the park that day were on a leash. That is required by city ordinance. A young Illinois boy who has defied the odds with cancer is getting the chance to meet his idol, Blake Shelton, tonight at the Tax Slayer Center. News 8's Christina Hepner is live in Moline to tell us about the meet and greet.
Jim, in about an hour, the Blake Shelton concert will be starting here at the Tax Slayer Center. And for one 8-year-old boy, it's going to be a night he never forgets. In November, we told you about Sammy Hodgett, who was diagnosed with T-cell acute lymphoblastic leukemia 3 years ago. He was in a medically induced coma for nearly 6 weeks. He had to relearn how to walk, talk, and eat. His family says it was Blake Shelton's songs who got him through. And tonight, his family is excited to meet Sammy's idol.
That I get to see Blake Shelton.
It's humbling. It's completely humbling because you do hear so much of the bad stuff that happens in the world. So I feel like it's just so important to share the good, and there's so much good.
We'll be at that meet and greet tonight between Sammy and Blake and bring you that full story tonight on WQAD News 8 at 10. Reporting live in Moline, Christine Hepner, WQAD News 8.
Thank you, Christina. Blake Shelton saw Sammy's story that News 8 did on him back in November, and from there he invited Sammy to be his special guest at tonight's concert. Still ahead on News 8 at 6, newfound silence. The new ordinance in Muscatine letting residents sleep a little more soundly through the night.
You're watching WQAD. This is News 8 at 6.